Have you ever noticed how two people can start from the same place, face the same struggles, and still end up living completely different lives? One keeps rising, building, growing. The other stays stuck, blaming, waiting, doubting. The difference is not luck. It is not background. It is not talent. It is something far more powerful and far more invisible. It is the mindset they choose to carry every single day. James and Daniel grew up on the same street. They attended the same school, sat in the same classroom, and listened to the same teachers. From the outside, their lives looked almost identical. Their families were not wealthy. Opportunities were not handed to them. Nothing about their beginnings suggested that one would rise far beyond the other. But even as teenagers, there was something quietly different in the way they thought. When results were posted after exams, James would look at the top students and say, "They're just lucky." Daniel would look at the same list and say, "What are they doing that I'm not doing?" That small difference in interpretation did not seem important at the time, but it was the seed of two completely different futures. After school, both young men struggled to find stable work. Rejections came often. Interviews ended with polite smiles and no callbacks. James grew frustrated quickly. Each rejection felt like proof that the system was unfair. He would tell anyone who listened that connections mattered more than competence, that people like them rarely made it far. Daniel felt the sting too, but his response was different. Instead of concluding that doors were permanently closed, he asked himself what skills he was missing. He started watching free tutorials online. He practiced speaking more confidently. He improved his resume. Where James saw rejection as confirmation of limitation, Daniel saw it as feedback. Same situation, different mindset. When they finally secured entry-level jobs, the pattern continued. James worked hard enough to avoid trouble, but never more than required. He counted the hours until closing time. He complained about management. He believed effort should always be rewarded immediately, and when promotions did not come quickly, he lost motivation. Daniel approached the same job differently. He observed how the business operated. He asked questions. He volunteered for extra responsibilities, not because he was paid more, but because he wanted to learn. He understood something James did not yet see: skills compound. The extra effort today becomes leverage tomorrow. One mindset saw a job as a trap. The other saw it as training. Money became another dividing line. When their first steady paychecks arrived, James felt a strong desire to prove he was doing well. He upgraded his phone, bought expensive clothes, and spent freely on weekends. Looking successful felt important. Saving could wait. Daniel made different choices. He still enjoyed small rewards, but he asked himself one question before every major expense: will this move me forward? He began setting aside a portion of his income. He invested in online courses. He purchased books that expanded his thinking. To James, Daniel looked overly cautious. To Daniel, he was building a foundation. Months passed, then years. The gap slowly widened. Failure visited both men again when a small business opportunity appeared. They each considered starting a side hustle. James was excited at first, but as soon as he calculated the risks, fear took over. "What if it doesn't work?" he asked. "What if I lose my money?" The possibility of failure felt unbearable, so he postponed the idea until it quietly died. Daniel felt the same fear, but he approached it differently. Instead of asking how to avoid loss completely, he asked how to reduce risk and increase learning. He started small. He made mistakes. He adjusted. The first attempt did not succeed. Neither did the second, but with each try he gained experience. Where James saw failure as a verdict, Daniel saw it as a lesson. Their conversations changed over time. James often spoke about what was missing in his life. Not enough money, not enough support, not enough luck. Success seemed like something reserved for other people. Daniel spoke about possibilities. He talked about ideas, strategies, and improvements. He sought mentors. He surrounded himself with people who challenged him. When he met someone successful, he asked questions instead of feeling threatened. That difference in response shaped their circles. James stayed comfortable. Daniel kept growing. 5 years later, their realities looked nothing alike. Daniel's side business had grown into a stable source of income. The skills he developed at work positioned him for promotion. His savings gave him options. James was still working, still earning, but constantly under pressure. Any unexpected expense felt like a crisis. Resentment had replaced ambition. From the outside, some people called Daniel lucky. They said he was in the right place at the right time. Few saw the years of different thinking that built his position. One evening, they sat together again on the same street where it all began. James asked the question he had avoided for years. "How did you change your life?" Daniel paused before answering. He did not talk about money first. He did not talk about business strategies. He said, "I changed the way I think." He explained how he stopped blaming and started taking responsibility, how he stopped chasing appearances and started building value, how he learned to see problems as opportunities to create solutions. It was not a single moment that transformed his life. It was a daily decision to think differently. The truth is, James and Daniel did not start from different backgrounds. They started from different beliefs. One believed circumstances controlled him. The other believed he could influence his circumstances. One waited for conditions to improve. The other improved himself regardless of conditions. That is the power of mindset. It quietly directs choices. Choices shape habits. Habits build results. A rich mindset is not about having money in your account today. It is about believing you can grow, learn, and create value even when resources are limited. A poor mindset is not about being broke. It is about accepting limitation as permanent and refusing to adapt. Over time, these beliefs become visible in lifestyle, opportunity, and confidence. If you look closely, you may find a little of James and a little of Daniel inside yourself. Some days you think in possibilities. Other days you shrink into excuses. The difference in your future will depend on which voice you strengthen. Because in the end, wealth is not an accident. It is an outcome, and the outcome begins in the mind. Two people, same street, same start, different thinking, different lives. The power of thinking different is not dramatic, it is not loud, but it is decisive. And the moment you choose to see opportunity where you once saw limitation, you begin stepping into a completely new direction.